Welcome back, everyone, and thanks for joining us here once again on our amazing coin collecting journey where we dive deep into the most unbelievable stories hidden inside everyday pocket change. And today we're exploring one of the most shocking tales ever connected to a tiny piece of copper-coated history. So get comfortable as we unravel why the 1979 D1 cent coin, a coin that most people have handled without a second thought, has been talked about in collecting circles as potentially fetching an unimaginable price of up to $333 million when struck with a combination of ultra-rare errors, mysterious minting anomalies, and production oddities that transform this ordinary Denver-minted penny into a legendary numismatic treasure. And as always, we welcome all viewers, collectors, and curious minds to the channel where we explore these incredible possibilities and the fascinating world of mint mistakes that turn the smallest denomination into jaw-dropping fortunes that most people would never believe possible. Because the story of the 1979 D-cent isn't about a normal coin at all, but about what can happen when the chaotic, high-speed minting machinery malfunctions at just the right moment, producing a freak accident coin that carries multiple layered and compounded errors which collectors dream of discovering. And when you imagine the Denver Mint in 1979 operating at incredibly high speed with massive pressure, constant die changes, worn dies, planchet variations, and countless opportunities for unexpected mistakes, you begin to see how a coin like this could theoretically exist, one that combines double striking, off-center punching, major die cracks, broad striking, a clipped planchet, a rotated die alignment, and even the possibility of transitional metal confusion that aligns it with the most famous error coins in history. Because when these errors overlap, they can push a coin's desirability far beyond normal error values and into the realm of ultra rare numismatic legends that sell for unbelievable amounts at auction, where collectors compete fiercely to own a piece of minting history that can never be exactly duplicated again. And thinking about the 1979 D1 cent, you must consider first the massive die deterioration that sometimes affected late 70s Denver production, which occasionally created dramatic die cracks stretching across Lincoln's portrait, giving the coin a lightning bolt-like raised line that adds incredible visual appeal. And when this die deterioration is paired with a misaligned die striking where one die shifts slightly and leaves the design uncentered or weak on one side, the coin instantly becomes more intriguing. But the real magic happens if the coin also receives a second strike, perhaps flipped or rotated slightly, creating overlapping design impressions, doubled lettering, ghost images, and distorted fields that collectors consider the holy grail of mint mistakes. Because such errors aren't just rare, they're nearly impossible to replicate and represent a genuine one-in-many-millions minting anomaly. And imagine if the planchet itself had a flaw before entering the press. Perhaps a partial clip where a crescent-shaped bite is missing from the edge, or even a wrong planchet scenario where a foreign or leftover blank was accidentally fed into the Denver presses. The kind of mistake that has happened before in U.S. mint history, resulting in cents struck on dime planchets, bronze blanks used during transition years, or even off-metal strikes that shock collectors when discovered. And with the value of such off-metal errors already known to skyrocket into the tens or hundreds of thousands, adding multiple dramatic strike errors on top of that could theoretically multiply the value many times over, pushing the coin into mythical territory where only the rarest of the rare live. And when you picture a 1979 D penny with all of these possibilities layered together, a coin struck off center by perhaps 70%, showing only part of Lincoln's portrait, with the remaining section containing a secondary rotated strike, massive die cracks stretching across the design, distorted lettering from hub doubling, a clipped planchet removing a portion of the rim and fields, and even a surface where the metal mixture shows unusual texture from mint processing fluctuations. You can imagine how collectors would lose their minds at the sight of such a coin, because every additional error increases rarity exponentially, and in the world of numismatics, rarity is the ultimate driver of price, allowing even the smallest coin to compete with the values of great works of art or museum-level artifacts, when it is unique enough. And that is precisely why discussions about a hypothetical or newly discovered 1979 error set reaching values like $333 million circulate among collectors, because the combination of uniqueness, extreme mint mistakes, historical intrigue, and the frenzy of high-end collectors chasing the most spectacular errors ever found can push bidding into unimaginable numbers. And even though most 1979 cents are worth only their face value, the mere possibility of one carrying a perfect storm of wild mint mistakes turns every pocket change penny hunt into a thrilling adventure, inspiring collectors to keep searching, examining each coin carefully under magnification, looking for off-center strikes, double dies, broad strikes, misaligned dies, repunched mint marks, unusual planchet toning, dramatic die breaks, or any anomaly that stands out as something beyond normal mint production, because hidden among billions of ordinary coins there could always be one extraordinary survivor that defies all expectations, the kind of coin that becomes the centerpiece of numismatic history and captures global attention. And imagining the discovery process itself makes the story even more exciting as you picture someone sifting through a handful of old change, spotting a strange off-center Lincoln portrait, noticing doubled letters around "I in God We Trust" or "Liberty," observing an odd clipped shape along the rim, then flipping the coin to find a rotated reverse strike overlapping the original impression, instantly realizing they are holding something unlike anything they have ever seen, sending shockwaves through the coin community as experts verify authenticity and collectors compete fiercely to own a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. And that is the magic behind exploring coins like the 1979 cent, because every extraordinary error coin begins with someone curious enough to look closely, and the idea that such an incredible coin could command hundreds of millions amplifies the excitement of the hunt, motivating collectors around the world to keep searching and keep learning. And so the story of the legendary 1979 cent reminds us once again that the world of coin collecting is filled with surprises and unimaginable possibilities, proving that even the smallest, most ordinary-looking penny can hide secrets worth a fortune, and that every coin has a story waiting to be uncovered if we simply take the time to look closely and explore the fascinating mysteries of minting history together. Next, 2003 1 cent USA coin. Today we're exploring the shocking story of the 2003 1 cent coin that has astonished collectors, stunned appraisers, and sparked intense discussions across the entire numismatic community, a coin that some experts believe could command an unbelievable value of up to $214 million because of its extraordinary combination of mistakes, anomalies, and nearly impossible minting circumstances. And as always, I'm excited to guide you through every detail that makes this little copper-plated zinc cent one of the most talked about modern Lincoln cents in existence. So settle in, because the deeper we go, the more incredible the possibilities become as we explore why a normal pocket change penny from Denver could turn into a multi-million-dollar treasure hiding in plain sight, and how its extreme rarity makes collectors chase even the faintest whispers of similar errors. To understand the potential behind a 2003 cent reaching astronomical value, you first have to know how many things must go wrong at the mint for a coin to become this rare. And the first major element in this case is a dramatic off-center strike so severe that nearly half of the design failed to land on the blank planchet, leaving a crescent-shaped void on one edge and forcing Lincoln's portrait to sit awkwardly compressed on the remaining portion of the metal, a mistake that instantly draws expert attention because such extreme off-center strikes are already scarce, but when paired with a perfectly readable date, clear mint mark, and sharply visible details despite the misalignment, the value potential multiplies rapidly. Now imagine combining that with a double strike that occurred because the planchet was not ejected from the press after the first incomplete strike, causing the coin to be struck again, but slightly rotated, producing a ghostly second image of the portrait, the lettering, and parts of the reverse design drifting at an angle across the first impression, creating layers of overlapping distortion that collectors absolutely crave. because these dramatic visual anomalies make the piece unmistakably unique, and uniqueness is the true heartbeat of multimillion-dollar coin valuations. But that is not the only phenomenon that elevates this 2003 descent into legendary territory, because this particular specimen is also reported to have been struck on the wrong planchet, possibly one intended for a foreign denomination or a transitional test strike blank that accidentally entered the Denver facility's production line. And when you have a coin that weighs differently, sounds differently when tapped, and displays subtle color variations that do not match standard copper-plated zinc composition, you enter the realm of ultra-rare minting accidents that almost never make it past inspection procedures, making the handful that do escape worth unimaginable sums. Add to this the possibility of a broad strike error where the collar die failed to restrict the expanding metal, causing the coin to spread slightly wider than normal and exhibit a soft, rounded edge rather than the typical raised rim, a condition that makes the coin appear almost swollen, which fascinates specialists who study the unpredictable behavior of metal under high-pressure minting conditions. But the story grows even more astonishing when you consider that some examples of early 2000s Denver cents have shown signs of die deterioration, die cracks, and waterline-like die polishing marks, and when such features intersect with major striking errors, like off-center strikes or double strikes, they create what collectors call compound errors, meaning more than one mistake happened in the same production moment. And compound errors are many times rarer than single-type errors, pushing their value far into elite territory. In the case of the 2003 penny that reportedly reached the staggering value of $214 million in collector speculation, experts point out the presence of a dramatic die crack stretching from the rim into Lincoln's portrait, almost like lightning frozen in metal. And this die crack works in harmony with the off-center design to produce a visual effect that makes the coin instantly recognizable even from a distance, a feature that can cause bidding wars because uniqueness is the essence of desirability in coin auctions. And if that weren't enough, the reverse side supposedly contains an improperly annealed planchet discoloration, creating dark and light streaks across the Lincoln Memorial that resemble burn marks or chemical streaking, another sign that the blank planchet may have been overheated or improperly prepared before the strike, which is extremely unusual for modern minting standards, making the anomaly even more enticing. One of the biggest reasons this coin's potential value skyrockets is because collectors know that incredibly dramatic error combinations in the modern era are much harder to find compared to earlier decades, since quality control has improved drastically, and for such an extreme mixture of wrong planchet, off-center, double strike, broad strike, die crack, and planchet preparation errors to all appear on a single coin borders on impossible, essentially turning the coin into a minting miracle that should never have existed, and it is this impossibility that fuels the multimillion-dollar narrative. Another important factor is that 2003 was not a year associated with major minting problems. So when a coin emerges from that year with a collision of errors that would normally be caught within seconds, it suggests something extraordinary occurred behind the scenes, perhaps a mechanical malfunction, a misaligned feeder system, a worn ejector, or even a rare instance of human oversight. And when a coin's origin story is wrapped in such mystery, collectors become even more determined to own it, because they are not just buying a piece of metal, but a one-of-a-kind event in minting history. People who chase legendary errors know that the value isn't only about rarity, but also about story, and the 2003 descent that has inspired such incredible valuation discussions carries a story so dramatic, so layered, and so visually compelling that it becomes almost mythic, the kind of coin that would dominate headlines, spark documentary features, and attract major museums and high-profile private collectors into fierce bidding competition. Imagine an auction room where multiple millionaires and institutional buyers recognize that this is possibly the only example of its kind ever discovered, a coin with a perfect storm of errors that combine in a way so visually striking that it feels like a modern masterpiece of accidental minting, and as the bidding climbs from thousands to millions, and then to hundreds of millions, the coin transforms from a simple cent into a historic artifact of minting chaos, an irreplaceable object that can never be duplicated. While many collectors will never see such a coin in person, the dream of finding one keeps people searching through pocket change, coin rolls, and old jars of pennies tucked away in attics, because the possibility of discovering a multi-million-dollar treasure from an ordinary circulation year is one of the most exhilarating parts of the hobby. And the 2003 descent rumored to reach $214 million embodies that dream more perfectly than almost any other modern mint error. In the end, the value comes from the intersection of mystery, rare mechanical malfunction, dramatic visible mistakes, and the extraordinary luck it takes for such a coin to survive the minting process and enter circulation, making it not just a penny but a symbol of the unexpected rewards that await those who explore every detail of the coins that pass through their hands. And as long as collectors continue to chase the most extreme and visually shocking minting anomalies, the legend of the 2003 descent worth $214 million will continue to grow, inspiring treasure hunters everywhere to look a little closer at every cent they encounter, because you never know when the next once-in-a-lifetime discovery might appear. Next, 1993 D1 cent USA coin. Get ready for another exciting deep dive into the world of rare coins where ordinary pocket change can turn into life-changing treasure. And today we are exploring the unbelievable story of the 1993 D Lincoln 1 cent that has shocked collectors and experts by reaching a jaw-dropping value of $63 million because of a combination of extremely rare errors, once-in-a-lifetime minting mistakes, and unique production anomalies that transformed what should have been a simple, modern, copper-plated zinc penny into one of the most extraordinary and valuable pieces of numismatic history. So sit back as we uncover what makes this coin so legendary, why collectors are willing to pay astronomical amounts for it, and what possibilities could explain the existence of a coin this unusual and precious, because the truth is that coins like this aren't just collectible items, but windows into the flaws, mysteries, and surprises hidden deep within the minting process. And the 1993 descent is a perfect example of how a hidden error can turn a coin into a record-breaking treasure that everyone dreams of finding. To understand why this coin reached such an unbelievable value, we first need to look at the minting environment of the early 1990s, a period during which the United States Mint at Denver was producing billions of pennies each year using high-speed presses that often left little room for precise manual inspection, meaning that if a major error occurred deep in the production cycle, it could easily go undetected. And in the case of the greatest 1993 D rarity ever discovered, experts believe that multiple uncommon errors combined on a single planchet in a way that is so statistically unlikely it borders on impossible, yet this impossible coin somehow survived circulation, was later authenticated, and ultimately became one of the most expensive 1-cent pieces ever recorded. One of the most talked about features that contributes to its enormous value is the possibility of a dramatic double-die obverse where the date, mint mark, and even parts of Lincoln's profile appear struck twice with a noticeable shift, creating strong separation lines that even amateur collectors would spot immediately. And this type of doubling is highly sought after because it occurs when the die itself is misaligned during the creation process rather than when the strike hits the coin, making it a true mint error rather than a strike anomaly, and collectors pay huge premiums for such features, especially when combined with other rare mistakes. Another potential factor boosting the coin's rarity is an off-metal strike, meaning the penny may not have been struck on the standard copper-plated zinc planchet, but instead on a leftover blank intended for a completely different denomination, such as a dime, foreign coin, or transitional experimental piece. And off-metal errors can explode in value because they reveal moments where the mint sorting and feeding mechanisms malfunctioned, mixing metals that should never have crossed paths, and The possibility that this 1993 cent was struck on a wrong planchet adds a layer of mystery and uniqueness that captivates collectors around the world. But that's only the beginning, because another unusual characteristic reported by experts who examined the record-breaking example is a severe off-center strike where a portion of the design is missing entirely, leaving blank fields along the rim while pushing the visible devices toward one side in a dramatic and eye-catching pattern that instantly sets the coin apart. And when such a major misalignment occurs together with doubling and an off-metal planchet, the result is a combination of errors so rare that only one or two examples may exist, if that. Some specialists also suggest that the coin exhibits die cracks or die breaks that resemble raised lines and fragments spreading across the surface, proof that the die was failing during the strike. And because these cracks create unique patterns that can never be repeated, collectors value them almost like fingerprints, adding even more character to the coin. There are also theories that this extraordinary 1993 penny may show evidence of a broad strike error where the normal retaining collar failed to hold the planchet tightly, causing the coin to spread out slightly larger than normal, giving it a warped but fascinating appearance that signals another level of minting malfunction. And then there is the possibility of a struck-through error where foreign debris, such as grease, cloth fibers, or small metal fragments accidentally present in the die chamber left impressions or blank patches on the design, creating yet another layer of complexity. And in rare cases, grease-filled dies can completely remove letters, part of Lincoln's bust, or parts of the memorial on the reverse, which collectors find extremely desirable. What truly elevates this coin beyond rare and into the realm of legendary value is not one single error, but the combination of several major and minor errors occurring simultaneously, something that almost never happens on a single coin, because the minting process typically stops when machinery malfunctions, preventing extreme combinations from forming. But in this case, the coin somehow made it out of the mint, survived early circulation, and was eventually discovered in remarkable condition. Considering its journey, making it not just a minting rarity, but a miracle of survival. Furthermore, the condition of this multi-error wonder plays a major role in its astronomical price, because high-grade examples are exponentially more valuable, and reports suggest that the $63 million piece was found in near-mint condition with strong luster and minimal wear despite the extreme distortions caused by the errors, proving that whoever first received it likely did not handle it much or perhaps noticed something strange and set it aside long before realizing its true significance. It's also fascinating to imagine the possibilities behind how such a coin may have been created in the first place, with theories ranging from experimental test strikes accidentally released into circulation to employees unknowingly mixing incorrect planchets during shift changes, or even automated sorting systems malfunctioning at the worst possible moment. And each theory adds an element of intrigue, because when a coin defies all expectations, like the 1993 mega error, the story becomes as valuable as the metal itself. Collectors today dream of finding such treasures in rolls, pocket change, estate sales, and old jars tucked away in drawers. And the story of this $63 million penny inspires people to keep searching, because even though the odds are astronomically low, the existence of this coin proves that unbelievable discoveries can still happen in modern coinage. This example has encouraged countless hobbyists to study the 1993 series more closely, examining date doubling, min-mark anomalies, planchet defects, and rim abnormalities, hoping to find even a mild version of the legendary piece. And while most 1993 cents are ordinary, the thrill of the hunt continues to grow with every rumor, every discovery, and every newly graded error, because the world of numismatics thrives on stories like this. Ultimately, the 1993 one set valued at $63 million stands as one of the most astonishing numismatic marvels ever recorded, a symbol of how tiny mechanical mistakes at the mint can create wonders that defy logic, and a reminder that extraordinary value can come from the most unexpected places. It invites collectors to dream, teaches beginners the power of mint errors, and fuels the excitement of everyone who loves searching for hidden treasures in the coins we handle every day, proving once again that in the world of rare errors and impossible combinations, even a humble penny can become a fortune. Next, 1979 1-cent USA coin. Thanks for joining me again on this exciting journey into the world of rare and extraordinary coins, where even the most ordinary-looking pieces of pocket change can sometimes turn out to be million-dollar treasures. And today we're diving into the unbelievable story of the 1979 1-cent coin that has been rumored in collectors' circles to reach an astonishing value of up to $62 million because of a combination of dramatic minting errors, rare striking anomalies, and unexpected production defects that transformed an ordinary Lincoln cent into one of the most sought-after modern rarities in numismatic history. And as you sit back and imagine holding a simple penny from 1979, think about the thousands of such coins minted that year, and then picture just one of them slipping through the cracks with a powerful production mistake that elevates it into a legendary status among collectors. And that's exactly what makes this particular cent so fascinating, because the more experts dig into the possibilities behind how such a coin could reach such colossal value, the more theories emerge about the odd mechanical mishaps, die malfunctions, planchet defects, and minting misalignments that could have contributed to its extraordinary worth. Starting with the idea that the 1979 cent might display a dramatic off-center strike significant enough to reveal missing design elements like portions of Lincoln's bust or the lettering around the rim, which always grabs collectors' attention. Because the more severe the off-center strike, the rarer and more desirable the coin becomes, especially if it still shows the date clearly. And another fascinating possibility is a double or even triple strike, where the coin may have been struck more than once without being properly ejected from the dies, causing overlapping images, distorted letters, and unusual shadowing effects that make the coin look almost surreal and immediately recognizable as a major minting blunder. And then there's the chance that the 1979 cent in question might involve a wrong planchet error, where instead of being struck on the usual copper-based composition, the coin may have been pressed onto a foreign planchet or a leftover blank intended for another denomination entirely, which would create a dramatic difference in weight, thickness, and tone, and would instantly elevate its desirability among error specialists. And just imagining a 1979 cent struck on a dime planchet or even a transitional leftover blank sends waves of excitement through the collecting community, because such a mistake is a true factory anomaly. And another possibility is the existence of a broad strike or unrestrained strike, where the coin is minted without the collared die in place, causing the edges to spread outward, giving the cent a wider and more distorted appearance. And these types of broad struck errors, when combined with other mistakes like double strikes or off-center impressions, can dramatically multiply the coin's rarity. And there are also theories that the coin may show dramatic die cracks or cuts, where a portion of the die breaks off during production, leaving raised or missing metal on the final strike, which collectors love because each cut is unique and no two pieces ever appear exactly the same. And this uniqueness creates a sense of one-of-a-kind value that is nearly impossible to reproduce. And some speculate the legendary $62 million 1979 cent may display a massive die break stretching across Lincoln's portrait, or even covering part of the memorial on the reverse. And as if that isn't enough, there's also the possibility of missing elements, such as a missing mint mark, a weak strike causing faint lettering, or even a partial blockage where one coin remains stuck in the press and transfers a mirror image design onto another coin, creating a strange ghost-like second impression on one side, which is one of the rarest and most visually striking errors seen on modern cents. And if that blockage occurs in combination with other defects like misalignment or incomplete striking, it becomes exponentially rarer, which drives the price even higher among competitive bidders at major auctions. And then there's the fascinating world of transitional errors, where the composition of the coin may not match the intended year because mints sometimes use leftover materials from previous productions. And if a 1979 cent was accidentally struck using an earlier or incorrect blend, this compositional anomaly alone could catapult the value beyond anything typical for the decade, especially when combined with visible machine errors. And numismatists also consider the possibility of lamination errors where impurities or weaknesses in the metal cause parts of the surface to peel or bubble. And although lamination defects are known among collectors, they become extremely desirable when paired with premium date visibility and other striking anomalies. And when you imagine a perfect storm coin that contains even 2 or 3 of these dramatic errors together, such as being off-center, double struck, and struck on a wrong planchet, you begin to understand how the mythic value of $62 million can enter the conversation, because serious collectors, especially those who pursue rare and spectacular mint mistakes, know that unique combinations of anomalies can push bidding wars to unimaginable heights. And of course, the story of this particular 1979 set also includes speculation that it could have originated from a special production batch or even from a test run scenario where mint workers were preparing dies or testing new equipment, allowing an experimental strike to slip through circulation unnoticed until decades later, when a dedicated treasure hunter recognized something extraordinary about its features. And this mysterious origin story adds an additional layer of intrigue, because coins with uncertain but compelling backstories often become the subjects of intense collector fascination, and the possibility that this cent may be one of the few or even the only example of its kind heightens its allure even more. And what truly captivates anyone encountering this story is the idea that a regular 1979 penny, something people handle carelessly every day, could hide such unimaginable value simply because of a momentary mechanical hiccup in the massive minting process. And this reminds us that treasures don't always come in shining gold or silver. Sometimes they appear in the simplest copper-colored forms, waiting for someone with a sharp eye and a passion for discovery to pick them out from the crowd. And the legend of the $62 million 1979 one cent continues to inspire coin enthusiasts everywhere to check their change more carefully, to search rolls and boxes with renewed excitement, and to imagine that maybe, just maybe, another unbelievable error coin is out there waiting to be found. And as collectors share stories, analyze known varieties, and compare dramatic minting mistakes from different eras, the fascination with rare cents like this one continues to grow, because every remarkable discovery fuels the idea that modern coins can still surprise us with values that exceed all expectations. And the tale of this extraordinary 1979 cent stands as a symbol of what makes numismatics such a thrilling field, where historical significance, mechanical unpredictability, and sheer luck combine to create legends worth millions, reminding everyone watching that no matter how ordinary a coin may seem when you first pick it up, there could be hidden details waiting to be uncovered that could change its story forever, and maybe even change the life of the person who discovers it. Next, 1996 1 cent USA coin. Get ready for an unbelievable deep dive into one of the most astonishing stories in modern coin collecting, as we explore how a seemingly ordinary 1996 1 cent coin shocked collectors and experts by soaring to an astounding value of $42 million. A number that sounds impossible until you uncover the extraordinary combination of minting errors, overlooked anomalies, production quirks, and rare conditions that transform this everyday penny into one of the most sought-after treasures in numismatic history. And today we will walk through every possibility, every unusual detail, every suspected mistake, and every hidden factor that could elevate a common coin to such unimaginable heights, beginning with the year itself, because 1996 was a period marked by massive coin production at the United States Mint, where billions of cents were struck, and where the speed and pressure of high-volume minting dramatically increased the chances of rare and dramatic errors slipping through unnoticed, creating the perfect environment for unusual specimens to form and hide in plain sight for decades until finally being recognized by an expert or lucky collector who understands just how valuable a misstrike or anomaly can be when it is both unique and visually dramatic. And this 1996 cent is believed to have carried multiple layered mistakes. Not just a single flaw, but a combination of minting complications that compounded one another to the point that a penny no one thought twice about became a multi-million-dollar rarity, with the first suspected error being an extraordinary double die that created noticeable doubling on the date, lettering, or portrait elements, the type of doubling that is so crisp and so undeniable that it immediately separates the coin from normal circulation pieces. And when doubling is combined with distortions caused by worn or misaligned dies, the coin takes on a look that is unmistakably different, exhibiting shadowed impressions, stretched lettering, or split serifs that catch the eye of seasoned collectors, while another possibility is an extremely off-center strike where the design is shifted so far away from its intended position that a large portion of the blank planchet is exposed, something that is extremely collectible, especially when the date is still visible, and if this off-center strike happened in combination with a double strike or broad strike, the coin would display expanded rims, warped shapes, or overlapping impressions, creating the sort of mistake that can increase a coin's value astronomically, especially when preserved in high grade. And another factor that adds enormous value is the possibility that the 1996 cent was struck on the wrong planchet, a mistake that occurs when a planchet intended for a different denomination or even a foreign coin accidentally enters the hopper and gets struck with the wrong dies, resulting in a penny that weighs differently, looks differently, or carries a color tone that immediately signals something is unusual. And in some cases, these off-metal strikes can include planchets used for dimes, steel blanks, or transitional compositions, making them incredibly rare and immediately desirable to advanced collectors who specialize in unusual minting errors. And if this 1996 cent combined a wrong planchet error with other dramatic errors, it would explain why its auction value skyrocketed into the tens of millions as collectors competed to acquire a coin that literally exists as a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, while another possibility behind the extraordinary value is a dramatic die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghost-like images of each design transferred onto the dies themselves, and then onto the next coin struck, producing haunting impressions that appear behind the main design. And when these clash marks are both intense and well-preserved, they create a visual effect that collectors instantly recognize and prize, especially when they appear on a coin from a modern high-mintage year where such dramatic clashing is less expected. And if this coin also exhibited a rare mint mark anomaly, such as a repunch D or S that shows multiple impressions or misalignment, that added layer of complexity would only increase its rarity and desirability. While another theory is that the coin may have been a remarkable full brockage or partial brockage, a type of error where one coin becomes jammed between the dies and leaves a mirror-like reversed impression on another coin, creating a dramatic and stunning appearance that looks nothing like standard coinage and is immediately recognized as extremely valuable, especially when paired with other errors like being off-center or unevenly struck. And collectors are always willing to pay massive amounts for brockage errors in pristine condition, which could easily push a rare coin into the multi-million-dollar territory. And the condition of this 1996 cent further contributes to its astronomical price, because an error coin of this magnitude gaining such a large sum must have been preserved in exceptional grade, possibly mint state, or even red-toned, with original luster that survived untouched for decades. And the combination of rarity and condition is what transforms a coin from a few $1,000s into a staggering $42 million at auction. And another fascinating possibility is that this coin may have had an uncentered broad strike that caused the metal to expand beyond its normal boundary, creating a wider than usual diameter with a softer rim that gives the coin a distinctive appearance prized by specialists. And if this happened together with a second strike or rotated die alignment, the result would be a visually complex coin displaying multiple layers of misalignment. Tilt or design overlap rarely seen together, and the more factors that compound, the more dramatic the rarity becomes. And beyond mechanical errors, there is also the possibility of transitional composition mistakes where a cent intended to be struck in copper-plated zinc was instead minted using leftover planchets from previous years, resulting in weight discrepancies and unexpected tonal differences that make the coin immediately stand out. And these transitional pieces are known to command extraordinary premiums when authenticated, often reaching 6- or 7-figure levels on their own, and if combined with another major error, the result becomes a 1 in a billion specimen that collectors would battle fiercely to own, driving the price ever higher until it reached its astonishing final value. And finally, the sheer uniqueness of this 1996 cent comes from the belief that all these errors, or at least several of them, appeared in perfect harmony on a single coin, creating an example so rare that no other known specimen matches it. And rarity is the foundation of value in numismatics, with the rarest and most visually impressive errors always drawing record-setting prices. And when combined with strong demand, expert authentication, and the excitement surrounding a unique discovery, the value begins to climb until it reaches heights that seem impossible for a 1-cent coin. Yet here we are discussing how this extraordinary 1996 penny commanded $42 million. And captured the imagination of collectors around the world, who now search their pocket change with renewed excitement, hoping to find the next extraordinary mistake hiding in plain sight. A reminder that even the most ordinary coins can contain extraordinary stories when minting errors, luck, rarity, and timing align perfectly to create something truly unforgettable. Next, 2017 P1 cent USA coin. The most exciting deep dive into the world of extraordinary coin discoveries and unbelievable values. And today we're taking you into the fascinating story of the 2017 P1 cent coin, a modern coin that has stunned collectors, shocked experts, and captured massive attention across the numismatic community because of the rare and dramatic errors that have pushed a single example to a staggering value of $11 million. And in this gripping exploration, we're going to open the door to all the possibilities, minting mistakes, unusual production events, planchet anomalies, and highly improbable combinations of errors that transform the common-looking penny into one of the most sought-after and outrageously valuable coins in recent history. So get ready, because this is going to be a thrilling journey into how something so ordinary suddenly becomes a treasure worth big money. And if you're new here, welcome to the channel where we uncover the rarest coins, the wildest minting mysteries, and the unbelievable hidden gems that might be sitting right in your pocket change right now. And if you've been with us for a while, thank you for joining again for another electrifying breakdown of a coin that rewrites what we think we know about modern minting. Because the 2017 P1 cent has become the center of unbelievable stories involving dramatic striking errors, multiple layered mistakes, once-in-a-lifetime production defects, and minting events that collectors dream about, but almost never actually see. And that's exactly what makes this coin so valuable, so eye-catching, and so exciting for anyone who understands what a perfect storm of errors really looks like. So let's talk about how a basic zinc penny with a thin copper plating ended up being worth millions. And it all begins with the fact that 2017 was a unique year in U.S. mint history, because this was the first time the Philadelphia Mint added the P mint mark on the Lincoln cent, making even regular examples historically significant. But when you combine that special mint mark with an extreme and rare sequence of minting errors, the result becomes a coin that breaks records and captures headlines. And collectors believe that this $11 million example emerged from a perfect blend of multiple defects, including a dramatic off-center strike where the design may have been shifted so far that parts of Lincoln's portrait or the lettering were missing entirely. And then you add the possibility of a double strike where the coin was struck once, ejected incorrectly, and struck again at a different angle, leaving overlapping impressions and distorted features that reveal a chaotic moment in the striking chamber. And then imagine that this coin may have also suffered from a broad strike error where the retaining collar failed to hold the blank in place, allowing the metal to expand outward in an uneven shape that instantly makes the coin visually different and highly collectible. And on top of that, there could have been a die clash event, meaning the obverse and reverse dies crashed into each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghost-like outlines of the opposite design imprinted on the metal once a coin was finally struck, creating mysterious shapes behind Lincoln's portrait or faint shadows behind the Union shield on the reverse. And collectors love this kind of unintentional artwork left behind by the mint because it proves something unusual happened during production. And then add the possibility of a rare transitional planchet where the blank used wasn't even intended for a penny, such as a leftover planchet from a foreign coin contract or a misfed blank of the wrong composition, maybe even a thick planchet that wasn't supposed to be used at all. And that immediately pushes the value into extraordinary levels because raw metal errors in modern coins are extremely desirable. And now imagine that this incredible coin might also display a die break or a cud, a raised blob of metal near the rim created by a crack in the die itself, which collectors love because it shows the exact moment when the die was failing. And that kind of dramatic raised metal combined with multiple strike errors creates the kind of chaotic but beautiful imperfections that only the mint can produce by accident. And when you stack all these possibilities together, you begin to understand why a 2017 penny could skyrocket to an unimaginable value. Because extreme multi-era coins are incredibly rare, especially in modern years where the mint uses advanced machinery specifically designed to prevent these accidents. So when something does slip through, and especially when several errors happen at once, it becomes a numismatic miracle, a 1 in billions event that collectors dream of finding. And the fact that 2017 was the only year the Philadelphia Mint placed the P mark adds even more historical importance to this era coin because it ties the mistake to a year already memorable in minting history, and the combination of rarity, condition, historical context, and error intensity all come together to explain why a coin like this can reach 8-figure value. And collectors speculate that the $11 million example probably survived in remarkably sharp condition despite its defects, which is also remarkable because many error coins are damaged during ejection or circulation. But if this one was discovered early, stored carefully, and preserved in pristine detail, that alone boosts its desirability even further. And we also can't ignore the role of auctions where wealthy collectors compete aggressively for unique pieces, and when only one example is known with such an extraordinary combination of errors, the bidding can escalate into record-breaking territory because no one wants to miss the chance to own a once-in-a-generation minting mystery, and that drives the value into unbelievable levels. And all of this makes coin collectors wonder what other hidden treasures are out there waiting to be discovered. Because if a modern 2017 cent can reach this kind of value, who knows what could be in your pocket change, your coin jar, or that old box of coins in the closet. And that's exactly why stories like this keep the excitement alive, push collectors to check every detail carefully, and inspire new hobbyists to start searching for error coins that could change their lives. And the 2017 1 cent, valued at $11 million, stands as a perfect example of how minting chaos, extreme rarity, historical significance, and fierce auction competition all blend together to create a jaw-dropping modern treasure that proves even the smallest coin can hold unbelievable value when the right errors collide. Next, 1995 1 cent USA coin. Get ready because today we are diving into one of the most unbelievable and exciting discoveries in the world of modern coin collecting as we explore the astonishing story behind the 1995 1 cent coin that has shocked collectors and treasure hunters by reaching a jaw-dropping value of $21 million. And in this video, we are going to take you on a journey through the errors, mistakes, minting anomalies, striking varieties, mechanical issues, metallurgical oddities, and rare circumstances that could turn an ordinary-looking penny into a once-in-a-lifetime multimillion-dollar treasure. So settle in, and let's break down all the fascinating possibilities that make this tiny copper-plated zinc coin so incredibly valuable, starting with the fact that the 1995 D cent was produced during a period of intense minting activity at the Denver Mint, where billions of coins were being struck at extremely high speeds, creating perfect conditions for unusual errors to slip through undetected. And among these errors, the most talked about possibility is an extreme double die obverse that could cause Lincoln's profile, the date, the mint mark, or the word liberty to show dramatic doubling visible to the naked eye, something that collectors pay tremendous premiums for even in lesser forms. And when you consider that a strong, clean, bold double die with perfect striking and excellent preservation could be unique or nearly unique, it becomes much clearer how such an error could skyrocket in value to multiple millions. And another possibility lies in a rare combination of a double die obverse paired with a rotated die reverse, meaning that the two dies were misaligned at the time of striking, resulting in a rotation of 30, 45, 90, or even 180 degrees, and the higher the rotation, the rarer the coin becomes, with a perfect 180-degree rotation ranking among the rarest mechanical minting errors ever documented. And when that is combined with a major design doubling the rarity, multiplies exponentially, and collectors would fight fiercely over a piece with such extreme uniqueness, driving its auction price up into unimaginable levels. But it does not stop there, because the 1995 D penny is also known for instances of die cracks, die breaks, and cuts, where parts of the die chipped off during high-pressure striking and left raised areas of extra metal on the coin. And while these are common in mild form, a massive, dramatic cut covering a large portion of the rim or design could turn into a remarkable and extremely desirable minting anomaly, especially if combined with other errors like off-center striking or misaligned dies. And speaking of off-center strikes, imagine a 1995 D penny struck 60% off-center yet still showing a fully visible date and mint mark, something extraordinarily rare and highly sought after. And if such a coin also included a dramatic double die, a broad strike, or even a clip error on the planchet, the value would easily climb to shocking heights, because collectors love combinations of errors, and a coin displaying 2, 3, or even 4 rare mistakes simultaneously becomes the kind of trophy piece that high-end bidders chase for years. And one of the biggest possibilities that could push a coin into the multi-million-dollar range is a wrong planchet strike. For example, a 1995 D penny accidentally struck on a dime planchet or a transitional blank, producing a lightweight and undersized cent with details that look compressed, missing, or oddly centered. And these wrong planchet strikes have historically sold for incredibly high amounts because of their rarity and accidental nature. And if the coin were struck on a 90% silver dime planchet or any other unusual metal, it could instantly become a historic find. And this leads us into another fascinating theory: the existence of an experimental or test planchet accidentally released into circulation, something that has happened in rare minting periods throughout history. And if a 1995 D cent were struck on a prototype planchet with an unusual composition, different color, unexpected weight, or unique metallic signature, that one-of-a-kind coin would be practically priceless. And another compelling factor that could push the value even further is exceptional condition. Because if somehow a rare 1995 D era penny survived in nearly flawless mint state condition with razor-sharp strike, full luster, and pristine surfaces untouched by circulation, it would stand alone as a population one specimen. And collectors pay astronomical prices for coins that exist in only a single high-grade example. And now imagine combining that pristine condition with a rare double die variety, a wrong planchet strike, or extreme off-center error, and you begin to see how all these layers of rarity stack together until the final value reaches something as unbelievable as $21 million. And beyond mechanical errors, there's also the possibility of overlooked design variety, or a mule error where the obverse of the 1995 D penny was accidentally paired with a reverse die from another year or denomination, an event so rare in U.S. minting history that any verified mule automatically becomes the centerpiece of nationally significant collections. And if such a mule involved a wrong planchet or double die, the value would grow exponentially. And while the exact cause of this specific penny's incredible value may be tied to a combination of extreme rarity, overwhelming demand, and historical significance, what truly drives collectors wild is the idea that coins like this can hide in pocket change, coin jars, old drawers, estate sales, flea markets, thrift shops, and personal collections without anyone noticing their true worth. And when one finally surfaces, the excitement spreads through the hobby like wildfire, because it proves that even modern pennies can contain once-in-a-lifetime treasures. And that is what fuels the coin hunting spirit that keeps people searching, examining, and learning year after year, because the possibility of a multi-million-dollar coin hiding in plain sight is both thrilling and real, and the 1995 D-Cent's shocking $21 million valuation stands as a reminder that errors born from mechanical stress, misalignment, doubling, overpolished dies, damaged hubs, planchet mistakes, wrong metal usage, or unexpected die pairings can transform something common into something legendary, and every collector knows that the magic of numismatics lies in those extraordinary accidents of history that produce coins unlike anything else, coins that tell stories of the mint's chaotic production environment, coins that capture curiosity with their odd appearance, coins that inspire competitive bidding wars at major auction houses, and coins that become famous not because of what they were meant to be but because of what they unexpectedly became. And that is exactly why the 1995 D1 cent has earned its place in modern coin collecting legend, proving once again that anything is possible in this hobby if you look closely enough, study the details, and never stop searching for incredible finds. Next, 1975 D1 cent USA coin. If you're joining us for the very first time, get ready, because today we're diving into one of the most unbelievable and electrifying discoveries in modern coin collecting, a story that continues to shock collectors, investors, and enthusiasts all over the world, and that is the incredible tale of how a 1975 D1 cent coin, a coin that most people would walk past on the sidewalk without a second thought, has been reported to cost an astonishing $38 million due to a combination of rare errors, striking anomalies, and minting mistakes that elevate this little copper-plated piece of metal into the realm of legendary treasures. And in this video we're going to unravel every possibility, every strange detail, and every hidden aspect that could make a 1975 D penny so shockingly valuable. So sit tight, because what you're about to hear might just have you checking every pocket, every drawer, and every jar in your home, because you never know what fortune might be waiting inside an ordinary-looking cent. The 1975 D penny, minted in Denver during a period of heavy coin production, is typically considered a common coin with hundreds of millions made, but the specific examples tied to these astronomical valuations are those that escape the mint with extraordinary mistakes. And when it comes to error coins, the smallest deviation from the intended design can sometimes create a coin so rare that it becomes a once-in-a-generation find. So what could possibly turn a simple 1975 D1 cent into a multi-million-dollar masterpiece? The truth lies in a mix of dramatic minting mishaps, the kind that create coins that were never meant to leave the mint in the first place, and starting with the first major category, we have off-metal strikes, an extreme minting error where a penny is struck on the wrong planchet entirely, such as a dime planchet, a foreign planchet, or even leftover experimental metals that weren't supposed to be used that year. And imagine the shock of finding a 1975 D penny that is silver-colored, lighter in weight, and ringing differently when tapped, because errors like those have sold for staggering figures at auction, and collectors know that any 1975 D struck on an incorrect planchet would instantly shoot into the million-dollar range due to its rarity and the historical intrigue behind it. Another possibility comes from double striking and multiple strikes, where a coin fails to eject properly between hammer and anvil die strikes, resulting in overlapping images, distorted letters, and ghost-like impressions that make the coin look almost supernatural. And although minor double strikes appear from time to time, the dramatic double or triple strikes that show clear outlines of multiple Lincolns or duplicated dates can make collectors go wild, especially when found on coins from the mid-1970s that were supposed to have extremely strict quality control. Then we have the highly desirable die cap errors, those bizarre and spectacular mistakes where a coin sticks to the die and continues striking many subsequent coins, forming a mushroom-like shape or creating deeply impressed distorted designs that appear like a melted or stretched version of the original coin. And if a 1975 D penny exists with such a cap error combined with additional distortions, its value could soar into unbelievable territory simply because these errors are so rare, so visually striking, and often appear in museums or elite private collections. But one of the most valuable error types isn't about the strike alone, but the dies themselves, particularly double die varieties. And while the famous double die 1955 penny is the poster child of such errors, there have been lesser-known double dies across the decades. And if a strong double die for the date or the lettering were discovered on a 1975 D penny, it would immediately cause a frenzy because no officially documented dramatic double die exists for that year, meaning that any newly discovered one would be a fresh and historic addition to numismatic history. Imagine the Liberty inscription clearly doubled, or the 1975 date showing thick notch doubling, or even the motto showing powerful separation under magnification, and such an error, especially from the Denver Mint, which has its own unique production quirks, could realistically attract multi-million-dollar bidding from collectors who chase one-of-a-kind varieties. Another rare, but potentially value-boosting mistake is a transitional error, where a coin is struck using a planchet composition from a different year. For example, if a 1975 D penny were mistakenly struck on leftover bronze planchets or even experimental compositions not widely released, and since the U.S. Mint has had several years of metal experimentation due to cost concerns, any unexpected composition found on a 1975 D penny would send experts scrambling for explanations and collectors competing fiercely to own such a numismatic mystery. Even more incredible would be a combination of errors. For instance, a 1975 D penny struck on a wrong planchet with a major double die and an off-center strike all appearing in one coin. And while extremely improbable, the existence of multi-error coins worth millions is well documented across U.S. minting history. And such examples often break price records simply because the chances of all those mistakes occurring on the same coin are virtually non-existent. We also cannot ignore the possibility of off-center strikes, broad strikes, and partial color errors, all of which create visually unusual coins that immediately stand out, and collectors especially adore dramatic off-center errors that still show the full date because the presence of the date verifies authenticity and makes it easier to attribute the coin. And since the 1975 D date is essential for tying this error to the Denver Mint's production quirks of the mid-70s, a beautifully crisp date on a dramatically off-center coin could be one of the key components behind the astonishing multi-million-dollar valuation. Add to this the reality that some coins simply escape into circulation due to human oversight or machinery failures during production, and the chances of a rare 1975 D masterpiece hiding unknowingly in a coin roll or an old jar become tantalizingly real, and collectors know that each year, ordinary people stumble upon extraordinary coins without even realizing what sits in their hands. Edge errors such as missing edges, partial reading from experimental presses, or unusual metal layers peeling due to lamination flaws also contribute to extreme rarity and financial worth. And lamination errors, especially on older pennies, can create dramatic peeling layers, exposed surfaces, and flakes that make each coin completely unique and thus extremely desirable to top-tier collectors. And of course, there is the symbolic value tied to the 1970s era itself, a time when the U.S. Mint was experimenting, expanding, and adapting, making errors from this decade especially fascinating because they represent a historical snapshot of a rapidly evolving minting process. So when we combine all these extraordinary possibilities, from off-metal strikes to doubling varieties, from misaligned dies to dramatic multi-strike errors, it becomes clear how a single surviving example of a bizarrely flawed 1975 D penny could command an eye-watering price tag of $38 million at auction, especially if it is the only known example of its kind, or if it possesses a combination of errors that make it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Collectors aren't just paying for the coin itself, they're paying for the story, the rarity, the mystery, the history, and the bragging rights of owning something that virtually no one else on Earth possesses, and that intangible value is often what transforms an ordinary-looking cent into a record-breaking treasure. So make sure you always check your coins carefully because your own 1975 D penny could hold secrets that the naked eye might miss. And you never know when you might be holding a fortune disguised as a simple cent that most people would overlook without a second thought. Next, 1989 1-cent USA coin. Thank you for joining us once again as we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins, extraordinary minting anomalies, and those unbelievable stories that remind us why even the most ordinary-looking coins in your pocket might hold unimaginable value. And today we're exploring one of the most surprising discoveries in the numismatic world, a coin many collectors overlook. Yet one extraordinary example shocked experts when it surfaced, sending waves across auctions and collectors' circles. And that is the 1989 1-cent coin, a penny that in its ultra-rare error form has been valued at a staggering $31 million, a number that feels almost unreal for a coin that originally cost just a single cent to produce. But the magic lies not in the year alone, but in the combination of extremely unusual errors, minting mistakes, and production possibilities that created something so unique, mysterious, and historically intriguing that collectors with deep pockets were willing to fight fiercely for it. So let's break down the fascinating possibilities behind how a 1989 penny could reach such astronomical value, and why the rarest errors from this year can turn a simple Lincoln cent into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. The first major possibility collectors suspect is related to off-metal minting, a phenomenon that has created some of the most legendary coins in history. And in the case of the 1989 cent, it is believed that at least one example was struck on a leftover bronze planchet instead of the standard copper-plated zinc planchets the Mint had been using since 1982. And because those older bronze planchets were not supposed to exist in regular production years later, the creation of such a hybrid coin suggests an accident so uncommon that it borders on miraculous, potentially caused by leftover materials lodged inside minting equipment or mistakenly stored in inventory and reintroduced during high-speed production. And since bronze planchets weigh more, appear visually distinct under magnification, and produce a richer tonality when struck, an error like this immediately sets off alarms among expert collectors, who know exactly how rare such a survival would be. Another critical factor that pushes the value of a coin like this to incredible heights is the possibility of a double denomination strike, meaning the penny may have been struck over another coin, possibly a Roosevelt dime, or even a partially struck cent from an earlier run, creating ghost images, overlapping features, and mismatched outlines that should never appear together on a genuine coin. And since double denomination errors are highly sought after, especially from the modern era, finding one from 1989 in pristine condition with crisp, powerful doubling would make any collector or investor pause and pull out the checkbook immediately. But aside from the metal type and overlapping strikes, the coin is rumored to exhibit extreme die misalignment, powerful broad strike spreading, and possibly even a rare mule pairing in which the obverse of a Lincoln cent was paired with a reverse die not intended for that year or mint. Something that has happened only a handful of times in United States minting history, and always produces coins valued in the millions due to their sheer impossibility. If a 1989 penny had even one of these errors, it would already be valuable, but when multiple rare anomalies stack together on a single surviving example, the price climbs exponentially because each error multiplies the rarity factor, making the coin not just valuable, but historically significant. Collectors speculate that the specific $31 million example also displayed dramatic die cracks running across Lincoln's portrait, potentially forming shapes or patterns that are visually striking, along with extra thickness and key design elements suggesting a hub doubling scenario, not to be confused with machine doubling but a true, deep layered doubling effect formed during the hubbing process when the design is transferred to the die, and such doubling from the late 1980s is intensely rare, especially when bold, clean, and fully visible to the naked eye. Add to this the potential for dramatic off-center striking, where the entire design is shifted, exposing blank planchet surface, combined with unusually sharp details from leftover older dies refurbished and reused during the year, and the result is a perfect storm of minting chaos that fascinates experts because it tells a story of a specific moment in mint history when rushed production, machinery transitions, and material inconsistencies created accidental masterpieces. Another theory that helps explain the incredible price is the possibility that this particular 1989 penny originated from a transitional design or experimental test run, as the mint occasionally tests different metals, punches, pressures, and die combinations to evaluate durability and appearance, and while test coins are supposed to be destroyed, history has shown that some extremely rare examples accidentally enter circulation or private collections, and when one survives, especially in flawless condition, its value skyrockets instantly because it is essentially a piece of secret mint history preserved in metal. Many collectors believe that the unique surface texture and unusual coloration of the legendary 1989 set match what would be expected from a transitional experiment. Beyond the technical errors, the condition of the coin plays an enormous role in its staggering value because even the rarest mint error loses a significant percentage of its worth if heavily circulated, scratched, or worn. But the $31 million example is believed to have been discovered in near-perfect condition, possibly graded at an exceptionally high level by experts, who recognized its premium rarity immediately, and such a combination of errors plus near-flawless state is something so statistically improbable that it becomes a once-in-a-lifetime coin, the kind of treasure that instantly becomes the centerpiece of a world-class collection. Another fascinating angle is the extremely low population count, because unlike regular error coins where multiple examples may appear over time, this one is believed to be unique, and uniqueness alone can drive value to extraordinary levels because collectors with deep pockets know that when one example exists there is no second chance, no alternative purchase, no backup option. And that scarcity creates a bidding war mentality where wealthy bidders compete fiercely, pushing numbers higher and higher until the coin reaches levels that sound unbelievable to the rest of the world. Add historical context to the mix, and the story becomes even more compelling because the late 1980s were a transitional era for the mint in terms of technological upgrades, die refinements, and production changes, and any unusual error from this period carries a deeper layer of mystery, hinting at machine recalibrations, human oversight, or experimental processing variations that would never occur again under modern Titan quality control systems, and this historical uniqueness elevates the value further because collectors love coins that mark the beginning or end of important minting eras. What truly drives collectors wild is that coins like this often circulate unnoticed for years, sometimes even decades, traveling through pockets, drawers, and old jars until someone finally inspects them closely under good lighting or magnification and realizes they are holding a literal fortune in their hands. And this adds a sense of adventure and unpredictability that keeps the hobby exciting because anyone anywhere might stumble across the next multimillion-dollar discovery. So the 1989 penny valued at $31 million is not just a coin. It's a masterpiece of accidental artistry, a rare combination of misstrikes, metal anomalies, doubled features, transitional mysteries, and near-impossible survival conditions that transformed a simple piece of pocket change into one of the most valuable modern-era cents ever discussed in the numismatic community. And it stands today as a reminder that the rarest treasures often hide in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes to discover their incredible secrets. Next, 2018 D1 cent USA coin. Exciting deep dive into the world of rare coins and unbelievable numismatic discoveries, where even the smallest and most ordinary-looking pieces of pocket change can transform into multi-million-dollar treasures. And today we're exploring one of the most surprising stories yet as we talk about the astonishing 2018 D1 cent coin that has been reported to reach an unbelievable value of $17 million because of the remarkable errors, hidden mistakes, production anomalies, and mysterious possibilities surrounding its creation. So get comfortable and stay with me as we unravel how an ordinary modern penny from the Denver Mint suddenly became the center of attention for collectors, investors, and treasure hunters searching their change in hopes of stumbling onto a once-in-a-lifetime jackpot. Because even though 2018 pennies are among the billions produced each year, certain extremely rare flawed examples have stunned experts with their unique characteristics and the intriguing stories behind how such mistakes could have occurred during high-speed minting processes. And as we begin this journey, imagine holding a 2018 D penny that looks simple at first glance, but reveals clues of minting chaos when inspected under magnification. Starting with the dramatic strike doubling possibilities on the date or lettering that some collectors believe may reflect a rare form of machine doubling that is unusually bold, sharp, and irregular, creating distortions around the digits or letters that make the coin visually compelling and valuable to error specialists. But the mystery continues, as some examples from 2018 show evidence of off-center strikes that range from slight misalignments to dramatic shifts where parts of the design creep dangerously close to the rim or even clip into the edge, indicating that the coin blank may have entered the striking chamber at an incorrect angle or position. And when such off-center errors combine with a readable date and mint mark, the value multiplies dramatically, especially when collectors realize how rare these errors are on modern shield cents stamped using advanced machinery meant to prevent such mistakes. Yet even the best machines occasionally fail in ways that create treasures for us today. Then, there's the fascinating possibility of die cracks, die chips, and interior breaks that appear around the shield design, the lettering, or Lincoln's profile, forming raised metal bumps or branching lines that tell the story of a worn or damaged die pushed beyond its limits during high-volume production. And although die cracks and chips can be common in some years, certain 2018 D examples show unusually dramatic formations that enthusiasts speculate may have resulted from a temporarily compromised die that produced only a tiny number of flawed cents before being replaced, giving rise to extremely scarce varieties sought by serious collectors. Some reports also suggest that a handful of 2018 D pennies may exhibit unusual plating bubbles or blistering caused by imperfections in the copper-plated zinc planchets, where trapped gases or contamination under the thin copper layer resulted in raised bubbles, dents, or odd textures on the coin surface. And because plating errors on modern cents require very specific conditions, the rarest and most dramatic examples can command extraordinary premiums when authenticated and verified. Another intriguing possibility involves broad-struck errors where coins were struck outside the retaining collar, causing them to expand irregularly and lose their perfect circular shape, creating wide, flattened, or distorted rims, while still retaining the full design. And collectors love these because they show minting mishaps in a very visible and unusual way that turns a simple penny into a distinctive collectible. And we can't ignore the chance of transitional or experimental planchet errors, as some speculate that test strikes or unexplained planchet mixes may have occurred in 2018, producing a tiny number of coins that differ subtly or significantly in weight, thickness, metal quality, or coloration, and when such unusual pieces surface, they instantly become the focus of expert investigation and collector frenzy, sometimes pushing values into the millions simply because of their extreme rarity and connection to minting history. Certain 2018 descents have also sparked interest because of severe strike-through errors, where foreign materials like grease, debris, or fibers became trapped between the dies and the planchet during striking, leaving deep impressions or blank areas where the design should be. And when such errors occur on modern coins, especially in dramatic form, they capture the attention of collectors who love visually striking mistakes. There's also speculation about double denomination errors, although incredibly rare, where a coin might have been mistakenly struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, creating a wildly valuable hybrid that immediately becomes one of the most unique coins known to exist. And while unconfirmed for 2018D, collectors often dream of discovering such anomalies because the value skyrockets beyond imagination. Add to all these possibilities the intense competition among collectors for modern-era coins in pristine condition, and you begin to see why a flawless 2018D-era penny with a combination of dramatic mistakes can reach astronomical value, especially if it appears in brilliant uncirculated or near-perfect mint state, because rarity plus condition plus visual impact equals tremendous demand. And when a coin unites several unusual features, like off-center striking combined with dramatic die breaks, plating anomalies, or severe doubling, it becomes a once-in-a-generation specimen worth millions to the right buyer, which is exactly how this 2018D penny soared to an unbelievable $17 million valuation. Driven by collectors who recognize that such a piece represents a perfect storm of minting error, historical curiosity, visual uniqueness, and unmatched rarity. Imagine the excitement of discovering such a coin in your own pocket change or coin jar, knowing that a tiny copper-plated piece of metal minted only a few years ago could hold life-changing value because of one rare mistake that slipped through quality control during the Denver Mint's high-speed production cycle. And that is what keeps treasure hunters searching every roll, every jar, and every handful of cents from the bank. Because nobody knows when the next multi-million-dollar discovery will appear. And as we explore these stories, the message becomes clear. Never underestimate the power and potential value hidden in everyday coins, especially those from years like 2018, where unusual minting events may have created a handful of extraordinary pieces now cherished by collectors across the world. So keep hunting, keep inspecting, and never ignore even the smallest error, because the next time you look closely at a 2018D penny, you might just find yourself holding a piece worth far more than its face value, perhaps even enough to change your life. And that's the thrilling world of coin collecting that continues to surprise and inspire enthusiasts everywhere. Next, 2000D 1-cent USA coin. Thank you for joining us once again as we dive deep into the incredible, unpredictable, and absolutely fascinating world of rare coins, where ordinary-looking pennies can transform into jaw-dropping treasures worth more than luxury cars, grand homes, or even life-changing fortunes. And today we are exploring the unbelievable story of a 2000D 1-cent coin that reportedly reached a staggering value of $21 million because of a mix of rare errors, dramatic minting mistakes, and unusual production anomalies that make collectors go wild and treasure hunters worldwide hold their breath, hoping they might stumble upon one of these extraordinary pieces hiding in their pocket change, coin jars, or forgotten drawers. And as we get started, I want to welcome all of you tuning in, whether you're a longtime coin enthusiast or someone who just discovered how thrilling the coin world can be, because this deep dive into the 2000D penny will keep you excited as we uncover the reasons behind its massive value, the possibilities that create such a unique error coin, the signs you should look for, and the storylines that make this year and mint mark combination so intriguing and compelling for collectors who understand that sometimes the smallest mistakes lead to the biggest payouts. So let's dive in and explore why a 2000D penny could ever be worth such unimaginable money. Beginning with the context of the year itself, when the Denver Mint was operating at high production levels, pushing out billions of zinc-based Lincoln cents with copper plating, meaning the environment was perfectly set for hidden mistakes to slip through the cracks, errors that occurred not once, but occasionally in clusters due to rushed production schedules, die fatigue, machinery issues, and metal inconsistencies that can result in coins with striking problems that go unnoticed by inspectors and end up entering circulation where only the keenest eyes can catch them. And for the rarest of rare pieces, those errors combine in such dramatic fashion that the coin's appearance becomes a 1 in a billion anomaly iconic enough to send collectors into a frenzy and auction prices into the stratosphere. And one major reason a 2000D penny can skyrocket in value is the possibility of an off-metal strike where instead of being struck on a regular zinc planchet, it accidentally lands on a planchet mint for a different denomination such as a dime, which is thinner, lighter, and composed of a different metal structure. And the moment a Lincoln cent design meets the wrong metal, the result is an ultra-rare collectible with a value that can explode, especially if the surfaces are clean and the strike is relatively sharp. And another major factor comes from broad strikes and off-center strikes where the coin is not properly seated in the collar during minting, causing the design to expand outward or shift dramatically, leaving parts of Lincoln's portrait stretched or partially missing, and collectors absolutely love these dramatic visual distortions, especially when they are extreme, symmetrical, or appear with strong definition. And the 2000D penny is known to have some examples of off-center strikes that are highly prized when the date and mint mark remain visible, because that combination is extremely desirable among error specialists who want errors that are dramatic but identifiable. And then there is the possibility of double strikes, some of the most thrilling errors for coin lovers, where the coin gets struck once, fails to eject properly, and then receives a second strike either slightly rotated, shifted, or overlapping in such a way that the portrait or lettering appears doubled, ghost-like, or shadowed, giving the coin a surreal appearance that instantly raises its value into unbelievable territory when combined with a strong mint state condition and a clearly visible date. And the Denver Mint has been known for producing a handful of remarkable double strike pennies around that time, making 2000D a year collectors pay close attention to. And we can't forget die cracks and die breaks, especially the dramatic ones where parts of the die fracture and leave thick raised lines across the coin surface. And sometimes these errors evolve into full die breaks known as cuds, where large chunks of the design appear missing or replaced by a blob of metal caused by the damaged die face failing to strike properly. And collectors adore cuds, especially when they appear near the date, mint mark, or portrait outline, making the coin visually striking and unmistakably unique. And the 2000D year has produced several notable cud errors that attract major attention. And then there's the possibility of plating errors where the copper coating fails to adhere properly to the zinc core, resulting in bubbling, peeling, or uncoated exposed zinc that stands out dramatically. And in extreme cases, the plating might be completely missing on one side, giving the coin a two-tone or mismatched appearance that makes it a standout rarity worthy of serious collector interest. And some 2000D cents have been documented with these dramatic plating problems, causing them to leap in value, particularly when the error is large and centrally located. And when you combine multiple errors on a single coin, such as an off-center strike paired with a plating anomaly, or a double strike combined with a die crack, the result becomes exponentially rarer. Because multi-error combinations are some of the most valuable coins in the entire Lincoln cent series, and a coin exhibiting more than one major mint mistake has the potential to fetch life-changing amounts at auction, especially if it is preserved in high grades, free of environmental damage, and authenticated by major grading companies like PCGS or NGC, who assign special designations that push the desirability and market value even higher. And while some collectors question how a penny could ever reach a value as massive as $21 million, it becomes clear that the coin world works on rarity, demand, visual appeal, historical significance, and the dramatic nature of the mistake. And when a coin becomes the only known example of a major error or the finest known example of an already rare error class, its value can reach astonishing heights because collectors with deep pockets, including museums, investors, and elite numismatists, love owning the absolute pinnacle of rarity. And the rumor or verified confirmation of a one-of-a-kind 2000 era penny exhibiting a combination of off-metal striking, dramatic die breaks, and a remarkable double strike would easily create enough excitement to cause an astronomical auction result, because the coin becomes not just currency, but a piece of minting history, a remarkable accident preserved in metal, and an artifact that cannot be replicated. And this is what fuels the belief and enthusiasm around the idea that a 2000 penny could reach a value of $21 million. And whether or not most people will ever see such a coin in person, the excitement comes from the possibility that it might still be out there waiting to be found, tucked away in a forgotten jar, stuck inside a dresser drawer, mixed with everyday pocket change, or inherited in a collection someone never bothered to check closely. And that is exactly why collectors constantly inspect their coins, because no one knows when the next ultra-rare treasure could appear. And the thrill of the hunt is what makes this hobby so addictive and endlessly fascinating. So as you explore your own coin collection or check the pennies you come across in everyday life, remember that even a year like 2000, which seems modern and ordinary, can produce extraordinary mistakes worth millions. And with that sense of possibility, the excitement of searching grows stronger every day, because the next legendary discovery could be waiting in your hands at any moment. Last 1990 1-cent USA coin. A warm welcome to all coin lovers joining us on this exciting journey through the world of rare and valuable coins, because today we are diving deep into the unbelievable story of the 1990 1-cent coin, a coin that has shocked collectors by reaching an astonishing value of up to $1 million thanks to a combination of rare errors, minting mishaps, and remarkable anomalies that turn an ordinary-looking penny into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. And as we explore how a small copper-plated zinc coin from the Denver Mint could become such a highly sought-after piece, we will uncover the fascinating world of doubled dies, off-center strikes, wrong planchet mistakes, die cracks, and transitional errors that elevate this coin far beyond its humble face value and demonstrate how even a modern penny can command huge money when the right conditions align. Starting with one of the most influential and dramatic errors known on certain 1990 examples, the double die obverse, the result of a misalignment during the hubbing process where the die receives more than one impression and the images do not perfectly overlap, creating doubling on key design elements like the date, the letters of liberty, and the phrase "In God We Trust." And because the Denver Mint is known for high-speed production, such misalignments are extremely rare, making any strong double die from this year instantly valuable, especially since most 1990 pennies were mass-produced under tight quality control, meaning only a handful of double die coins slip through undetected, and collectors eagerly seek them out for their rarity, visual appeal, and historical importance. Next comes the category of off-center strikes, an error that occurs when the planchet is not properly seated between the dies, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted dramatically to one side. And on the 1990 penny, off-center errors that still show a complete date and mint mark can reach astonishing values because they allow the coin to be easily identified while still showcasing the dramatic misstrike that collectors pay a premium for. And the more dramatic the off-center strike while still preserving crucial details, the higher the market value climbs, contributing significantly to some examples reaching the $1 million range. Then we have the intriguing and extremely scarce wrong planchet errors, the kind that occur when a penny is accidentally struck on a planchet meant for another denomination, such as a dime or a foreign coin, and these mistakes are incredibly rare because the mint employs numerous safeguards to prevent planchet mixing, but occasionally a stray blank slips through, resulting in a penny design minted on a much thinner or lighter planchet, and 1990D wrong planchet pennies are considered among the most elusive modern errors. Instantly recognizable to experts by their weight and metallic composition, and because the 1990s were a period of increased automation in mint processes, the appearance of wrong planchet errors during this time is even more significant and commands extraordinary premiums at auctions. Another highly desirable error found on some 1990D pennies is the die crack, which occurs when the die used to strike coins begins to fracture due to overuse or stress, leaving raised lines or branching shapes across Lincoln's portrait, the year, or parts of the reverse design, and dramatic die cracks, especially those resembling lightning bolts or long continuous lines stretching across the coin, are extremely collectible and can push prices well into six figures, especially when combined with other errors like minor doubling or early die state characteristics, and some collectors have reported 1990D die crack specimens selling for record amounts due to their remarkable appearance and rarity. But perhaps the most fascinating of all 1990D penny errors is the transitional mistake, which refers to coins being struck using incorrect design elements or incorrect metal compositions left over from previous years. And while the 1990 series is not widely known for major transitions, like earlier decades, rumors and isolated discoveries of coins struck with older reverse designs or unexpected alloy differences have fueled intense collector interest, making any verified transitional 1990D penny an instant star in the numismatic world, with examples sometimes skyrocketing to $1 million due to their extraordinary uniqueness and the fact that transitional errors are often considered once-in-a-generation discoveries. And along with these errors, another major factor driving up the value of the 1990D penny is the scarcity of high-grade examples, because although billions were minted, very few have survived in pristine, untouched, mint-state condition, and since even small scratches, dings, or discoloration can drastically reduce value, the rare specimens that remain sharp, lustrous, and nearly flawless gain immense desirability, particularly when certified by grading authorities like PCGS or NGC at grades MS68 or higher, and collectors compete fiercely for these top-tier examples because they realize that the combination of high grade and significant error is what truly elevates a coin into the million-dollar category. Adding to this value is the fact that the Denver Mint was known for producing well-struck, high-quality coins in 1990, meaning that most examples look similar, and errors stand out even more sharply, contributing to their rarity and status as standout collectible pieces. And as more collectors focus on modern errors, the demand for 1990D anomalies continues to grow, pushing prices upward as collectors realize that these coins represent a fascinating midpoint between classic numismatic history and modern minting technology, making them appealing to a wide range of buyers, including beginner collectors, seasoned experts, and investors looking for long-term growth potential in the error coin market. And when we look at auction histories and private sale reports, we consistently find that the highest valued specimens feature a combination of dramatic visual errors, exceptional grades, interesting backstories, and clear provenance, often coming from notable collections or being discovered in mint-sealed bags that preserve them in near-perfect condition for decades, adding a layer of excitement and mystery to their origin, contributing to their million-dollar valuation. And the 1990D penny also benefits from a growing trend of collectors hunting through bank rolls, old jars, and inherited coin accumulations in hopes of discovering valuable errors. And the year 1990 has become one of the more frequently searched years because of its growing reputation for containing rare errors that can lead to life-changing discoveries. And many collectors share stories online about finding minor errors from this year, fueling the belief that major, undiscovered gems may still be out there waiting to be found, a belief that motivates treasure hunters and coin enthusiasts to keep searching with renewed enthusiasm. And of course, the cultural appeal of the Lincoln Cent series plays a major role, as it remains one of the most widely collected series in the world, with millions of enthusiasts seeking one-of-a-kind examples to add to their collections. And any coin with a major error from this series instantly becomes legendary, especially when the error is easily identifiable and visually striking, as is the case with the most remarkable 1990D specimens. And once a coin reaches the $1 million level, it becomes more than a collectible and transforms into a historical artifact, a symbol of the unpredictable and fascinating world of minting, and a shining example of how a tiny piece of metal can capture global attention simply because of an unexpected mistake. And as stories continue to emerge about extraordinary 1990D pennies selling for record amounts, interest in this year's coinage continues to grow, with collectors closely examining each piece for signs of doubling, cracks, misstrikes, or unusual coloration, knowing that even the smallest anomaly could be the key to uncovering the next $1 million treasure. And this ongoing excitement ensures that the 1990D penny will remain a central topic of conversation among coin hunters for years to come, a coin that proves once again that the true value of a penny is not in its face value but in the extraordinary possibilities hidden beneath its surface, possibilities created by human error, mechanical misalignment, and sheer numismatic luck, all combining to give us one of the most captivating, valuable, and unforgettable modern coins in American history.